You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
This is something that everybody's kind of talking about in Seattle. Outside of Seattle, it's like, what is going on with that freak show of a city? Seattle's poverty excuse would destroy the city. This is something, I don't know if it's going to destroy the city, but it's not going to be good for the city. And we're going to have to go through this social experiment, it looks like, to kind of figure out, is this really direction we want to head? And the answer is no. That's not the direction we want to head. But with our progressive leadership, that's where we're headed. So let's jump on in. Before we do, if you're new here, thanks for being here. My name's Sean Reynolds. I'm the owner of a real estate brokerage, Summer Properties Northwest, and a real estate appraisal company. But you don't care about that. All you care about is read the news on the Seattle Real Estate Podcast, of which I'm your host. Let's get into it. Matthew Humphrey recently lost, and this is an article from Catalyst. Matthew Humphrey recently lost $4,000 worth of goods in a theft of his Seattle barbershop. Under a new proposal, the Seattle City Council is considering this month what happened to him wouldn't even be a crime if the thieves simply claimed they were driven by poverty. That is, the poverty defense. You don't have to verify poverty, you just have to claim it. You don't have to even verify poverty. Verify drug addiction. Verify homelessness. You know what? I stole all this stuff because I was going to go get myself a sandwich. I stole all this stuff not because I've got an overwhelming opioid addiction, but because I was going to get my baby some baby food. This is the stuff that you're hearing in the media. It's like, oh, the reason we're doing this is that person really needed a sandwich. We all know who needs sandwiches and who doesn't. We all know who's on drugs and who isn't. It's pretty apparent. You can't really fake those things. And yet Seattle City leadership thinks we can't have those people who are in need of a sandwich. We can't have them being prosecuted for crimes they're committing out of need for basic human stuff. Can't do that. Oh. No, but you can't let them live on the sidewalks either, and that's what you're doing. Got to get those people some help. I don't have all the solutions, but I can certainly identify problems when I see them, and Seattle has got a lot of them, and that's what we talk about a lot here in the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. Let's keep going. I think it's insane, the victimized barber told a local news outlet. It's one of these well-intended concepts of we want to take care of people that can't take care of themselves. But what you're really doing is hurting other people. Let me read that again. What you're doing by saying you're going to implement these as basically part of our criminal code in Seattle is you are hurting other people. All the people that get impacted by this very small segment of the population, it's not a lot of people. Even if you consider all of the homeless, which probably most all of them are some way, shape, or form that have been victims of something, or there's a reason they're addicted to drugs, because if you watch enough homeless stuff, you will realize all these people are on something. That is the common thread. Am I being too harsh on them? No, because people who are not on drugs, typically, unless they just have severe mental issues, they're going to try and stay off the streets because they are rough, especially here in Seattle. I did a video a few days ago, walk through Jenny Park. That's one of Seattle's toughest parks right now. It's got like 60 or 70 tents. Parks and Recs is having to go through and clean up needles just about all the time. I saw a needle when I was there. You can see it in the video. I mean, it's nothing new. These people are homeless. They're living in tents in the middle of a big urban city park. And it's just a brutal situation. But Seattle City leadership is like, we need to just let those people sort themselves out. Don't provide them too much in the way of, actual help that's going to help them get out of a tent in the middle of a park in a big city. Don't do that. Don't really help them. Just to let them enable them, give them some shoot up sites where they can go and shoot up with clean needles. Just enable. That's what we're doing here in Seattle. Up for debate is a reform proposed by Seattle City Council member Lisa Herbold for up to 100 different misdemeanor crimes, including theft, harassment, shoplifting, trespassing, and don't worry, many, many more crimes. An individual will be excused if he or she claims poverty was their motive. Now, if you're in Seattle and you are criming like a lot of people are right now, crime's going up. I mean, it is. And violent crime's going up. It is. We're trying to get the numbers to go down by basically saying, look at our numbers. Our numbers are going down because we're no longer going to classify stuff going on as crime. That's one way of doing it. Talk about tweaking the stats. Look, significant 50% drop in crime. Never mind the fact that we basically made all those crimes no longer crimes. That's what we're doing in Seattle. Yeah, it costs a lot of money to house criminals over a long period of time. Therefore, we're just not going to do it. Not going to do it. We're just going to say, you know what? If you just tell us that you are poor, hall pass. Sorry for the interruption in your day. Mr. Prosecuting Attorney, I think we give this person a hall pass. That's never mind the time and energy and resources spent by the police and the people victimized by the crime. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a whole bunch of people standing up and going, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. What do we have going on here in Seattle? What? How is this even reality? That's what's going to have to happen. You got a bunch of guys like me who don't live in Seattle, but I'm over there all the time, just kind of reporting on what's going on. And how the citizens of Seattle tolerate this kind of nonsense, I don't know. It's like, what is wrong with you people? In a situation where you took that sandwich, and here it is. This is crazy. In a situation where you took that sandwich because you were hungry and you were trying to meet your basic need of satisfying your hunger, we as the community will know that we should not punish that. This is literally from King County Director of Public Defense, Anita Quandelwal. Butchered that name, I'm sure. Said of the proposal, which she helped craft, that conduct is excused. All right, here's the big disconnect. We don't have sandwich shops being overrun with people because they're hungry. We have all kinds of businesses, any kind of business, being broken into because we've got an opioid epidemic going on that people need to steal stuff for, fence it, and then get money for their next fix. That's what's going on. In some of these parks, you've got open air, basically fences going on. And I'm not talking about fences that divide you from your neighbors. I'm talking about selling stolen goods. That's going on in these parks. I did a podcast, maybe 2 weeks ago, and they were talking about one of the guys who was homeless, living in a tent, and he had, what did he have? He had a number of high-end bicycles that he was selling from underneath the tarp that he claimed were donated to him. Homeless guy in a park selling high-end bikes from underneath one of those blue tarps. They were given to him. They were all obtained legally. Now, how does a homeless guy get a bunch of high-end bicycles? That sounds suspicious to me, doesn't it? He's not looking for a sandwich, though. He's looking for cash. Cash money. What for? To buy that sandwich? I don't think so. That's not what's going on, right? I mean, you don't even have to be a genius to figure this stuff out. It's like, all right, that's what's happening. He's going to go out and he's going to score and he's going to use, and that rinse, repeat, keep going, you know? The intent of the proposal is to avoid punishing desperate people just trying to survive. All right, how about we make them not desperate? How about we get them some help in that direction? I don't know. Is that a radical? Is that progressive thinking? Is that radical? Probably is. It's probably so far down the road for Seattle that we just can't even talk about that. But the provision exempts not only stealing food or similar necessities, but stealing anything. Anything goes. It's okay. Just take it. You need it. Tell us that you're poor. You're good. Come back another day. We'll see you later. We'll see you then. Here's your punch card. After 10 times in this court, you get a free Slurpee from 7-Eleven. How about that? If you claim the money gained from its sale would be used for essentials, that's all you got to do. I was going to steal this and claim the money and was going to pawn it. This TV that I got from a store that I broke into, it's going to pawn it and use it to buy food. Honest engine, Scout's honor. That's what I was doing. Come on, how naive is that? That is absolutely ridiculous. As adults, we should know better. And that's why I think my podcast does pretty well, because I'm an adult saying what I think is clearly obvious, but everybody else here in Seattle is like, oh, if they needed a sandwich, we're okay with this. What is wrong? First and foremost, this policy would obviously incentivize more crime and more theft. What? No, there's no way. If there is no deterrent for crime, I think crime's going to go down. People are like, you know what? They're not really prosecuting these crimes anymore. If we do it, we're going to get away with it. Therefore, let's not do it. Let's be good citizens and human beings. Let's not go down that road. I'm going to go check into detox. I'll catch you on the flip side. Do you think that is ever going to happen? No, it goes the other way. Again, obvious stuff. This is just human nature, especially when it comes to chemical addiction and chemical dependency. They're not getting better on their own. They're out criming to get their next fix. That's reality. It would basically give anyone with a good sob story a green light to violate property rights at will. That's what's going to happen. In doing so, it would condemn Seattle to economic decline. Can't disagree there. One of the major things that I've had some dialogue with listeners and viewers, and it's become, and before I go down that road, it's becoming really hard for me to get back to you guys. So I do read I read as many comments as I can, and I do read as many of the emails that you send me, and I get letters in the mail and all kinds of stuff. And I try and get to that, and I try and respond. But I'm at that point now of that kind of vortex of how many subscribers I have and how many people reaching out that I'm probably not, it's not probably, let's not just blow smoke. I'm not going to be able to get back to you all. So I really appreciate all the input. I do read as much as I can, but I've also got a whole bunch of other stuff going on here, podcast-wise, business-wise, stuff happening. We're developing new stuff for the podcast, trying to make this as good as we can. We're actually moving podcast studios, trying to do that. But hey, I thank you for being here. I thank you for subscribing and sending me stuff. Keep sending. So where was I? It would condemn Seattle to economic decline. Yeah, probably. I think so. I was going to say something else, but I forgot now. In a free market with secure property rights, people can engage in mutually beneficial commerce. In working to earn a profit, they will create employment opportunities and provide others with the goods and services they need. All right. Businesses can invest and communities can grow. I am 52 years old, just had a senior moment, and I realized what I was going to say earlier, and that is some of the communication I've had with the listeners and the viewers of this podcast has been along the lines of commercial insurance. Hey, if commercial insurance carriers, if they look at what's going on in Seattle and they don't like the stats, if their requests for basically covering insured incidences skyrocket, like could happen if this kind of stuff keeps going, it's going to be tough to get an insurance policy, whether it's for your car, whether it's for your house, whether it's for your business. How many claims can you make before the insurance carrier says, you know what, this is a no-go. You know what, this whole area of Seattle is a no-go. You know what, further south down the map, this whole area of Portland is a no-go. How long before we start having those talks? Insurance. Those are some of the things that our leaders here in Seattle need to hear. It's not just we're trying to take care of our fellow human being, but when these businesses start making insurance claims and they don't have actual police reports because we don't have enough cops to go out there, and then we're not even really prosecuting these crimes because they're no longer crimes, how does that work out? I'm going to go out on a ledge here. I'm going to go and say something really profound and say, it's probably not going to work out all that well for Seattle. I'm spitballing here. I am throwing out general ideas without any data or science behind them. But knowing what I know about human nature, if people can steal stuff and get away with it, guess what? And they're desperate enough, they will all day long. So can you imagine somebody in tough climate? They're like, we can go to Seattle and crime all day long and nothing will happen to us. That sounds like nirvana. Let's go. I mean, we've already kind of got that because Seattle is so progressive that we basically have all kinds of service for the homeless and we make it easy for them to just shoot up and do all that stuff and just do their thing. And now we're going to say, if you need that sandwich and you tell us that you're poor and you really need that sandwich, even though you just stole some high-end bicycles from a high-end bicycle shop, you smashed open their window, jumped in, took those bikes, now you're selling the parts because you need a sandwich, we're okay with that. You're all right, buddy. Hall pass, next. No jail time for you. Not doing that. This is progress here in Seattle. This is what we're doing. Think about it using Humphrey, the after-mentioned barber, as an example. As a small business owner, he employs people in his Seattle neighborhood. They go out and spend their money elsewhere around town. Meanwhile, locals can get haircuts they want at a price that's worth it to them. Otherwise, he'd be out of business with no one willing to pay. Yet, if the Seattle proposal becomes law, Humphrey and thousands of other small business owners would likely have to shut down. It's a little upside-down world, he said. The end result is small companies like mine have to close their doors because they can't afford to be broken into all the time. What? I don't know if I can believe that. Can I believe that? Small companies like mine have to close their doors because they can't afford to be broken into all the time. Again, that makes perfect sense. Not only just from the insurance end of things like I was just talking about, but you can't have a business where people don't want to come to it because they're afraid of it. And that's exactly what's going on in Seattle. You can't have a business where not only customers are afraid, but your employees are afraid to come. I don't really want to go to work today because I don't want to get robbed and or assaulted. My car just got broken into again last night in the parking lot outside of the business office, whatever it is. You know what? I got to get a better job in a better location. Can I move to one of these other locations that we run business at? Can I do that? You're going to see a lot of that because nobody wants to tolerate this kind of stuff. So yeah, and this is the stuff where Seattle City leadership is saying, you know what? These businesses are just being whiny. They're just whining. They want their corporate profit. They want to make money. We're not into that. We're socialist. We like Marxism. That's what we're saying. That's the battle that we are having right now in Seattle. Is businesses basically, well, right now, a lot of them are shut down because the governor, based on data and the science that doesn't exist, has declared that a lot of these businesses, they are heavy spreaders of the Rona, even though that doesn't appear to be supported by data and science. Businesses are shut down. When they are open, they're getting broken into. And when they're not getting broken into, they don't have a lot of business anyway because people don't want to walk around in these neighborhoods. What are we going to do? I don't know. Got to do something, though. Got to do something. You certainly can't blame him. We're talking about the barber. There's no way any small business owner could possibly operate when anyone who is poor or homeless or claims to be, that's the big kicker, right? Or claims to be. Because these homeless are going to pick up on this whole thing like that, and they're going to go, I'm homeless, poverty, not even get out of jail, don't go to jail free card. So anyone who is poor or homeless or claims to be is able to rob their store and get away with it. That's what's going to happen. Does that work? No, that does not work. Survival, let alone profitability, is impossible amid such unpredictability and lawlessness. How about all the commercial property owners? And I know, I'm going down that whole rich person, entitled, probably white person privilege by owning property, owning land. But this is the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. We talk about people who actually own real estate here. So people who own real estate are going to have some vacant real estate on their hands, right? They've already got it. And guess what? It's not only vacant, it is boarded up and it looks terrible because it's all graffitied up with all kinds of nonsense, just nonsense. People who graffiti, they might consider themselves artists, but I kind of put them in the same category as people who just litter outside, just litter permanently. And it's much easier to pick up litter than it is to scrape off graffiti from the side of a building. Not a graffiti guy. I mean, in certain circumstances, in like a wall that's dedicated to graffiti, it can be amazing art. But that's not what's going on in Seattle. You are defacing businesses that are just trying to make a living, and that's not cool. That's a no-go in my book. And so while perhaps some homeless or poor people might benefit from lawless looting in the very short term, this reform would almost certainly destabilize and erode the city's economy and incentivize crime. I can't disagree with that. I can't. That is just reality, right? If businesses cannot operate, jails will not exist, wages will not be offered, taxes will not be paid, and in short order, crime and poverty will only increase. Yep, I agree. It's not going to decrease. Why would it decrease? There's no reason for it to decrease. That's not how this game works. And yet, in Seattle, that's the direction we're going. And we're saying, oh, you need that sandwich? I understand. Yep. And are there cases where people are stealing food because they are hungry? Yes, they are. But those are few and far between. Just walk around city. You don't even have to walk around a city like Seattle because the issues are the same. Go down to Venice Beach in California, same deal. A lot of drug addicts, a lot of homeless people. They're doing their thing, and it's not good. It is not good for a city. This is why free market economist Thomas Sowell once said that property rights belong legally to individuals, but their real function is social, to benefit vast numbers of people who do not themselves exercise these rights. None of this is conjecture. The strength of property rights in a nation, and it's certainly true for a city as well, closely correlates with its average per person income. And that's where I talk about this K-shaped recovery we've got going on. People doing really, really well, benefiting during the Rona. Other people on the other end of the K going straight into the toilet, losing their homes. It's a brutal deal. K-shaped recovery. That's happening. A lot of people, that middle class is just eroding before our eyes, in my opinion. I mean, in my humble opinion, and not really based on the data or the science, but just from what I see happening out there. All right, so the takeaway here is clear. Progressive Seattle officials might have the best of intentions behind their proposal to create a hardship exemption to property crimes, but if successful, their naive efforts would undermine the rule of law and property rights necessary for Seattle's economy to survive. I think what'll happen is does this get passed? I don't know, 50-50? I mean, I could see it passing in Seattle, can't you? I mean, all the other ridiculous, we had CHOP, for heaven's sake. We had an autonomous zone where there's no cops, where the police station was basically given up by the mayor to the peaceful protesters, who then eventually ended up, doing a bunch of criming, a bunch of people got killed. And who saw that one coming? Everybody, except for Seattle leadership. No, it's the summer of love. It's going to be okay. It's a block party. And I got to admit, when I first got to CHOP, in one of my first videos, I thought, this isn't that bad. And it only took a few days after that. It was pretty bad. The men in black started showing up with their guns. People started getting shot. People started getting killed. Not a good scene. Shootouts happened in the street. Not good. Don't want that to happen to Seattle. Seattle is a cool town. It's always had kind of a dark underside. I think that dark underside is really coming to light right now. And if you want to see that get accelerated a little bit more, give it a little turbo boost, give it a little nitrous oxide, just hit that button. Go ahead and let's see how this hardship exemption to crimes works. Let's throw that in the mix of what we've already got going on in Seattle. Let's just reimagine and rethink. Let's just see how this goes. I mean, we think it's going to be good. This is one of those things you're going to have to watch out of the corner of one eye and close the other one, because it's going to be such a train wreck. There's no way to avoid it. I mean, there's just not. I mean, any reasonable human being can see this, but this is Seattle, and things aren't necessarily reasonable here. They're just kind of the way they are. Seattle. Portlandia, Seattlelandia. That's what's going on. All right, that's it for me. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the podcast. I'm going to go now. I'm probably going to go eat some lunch and then maybe record another podcast. How's that? That seem reasonable? That's what I'm doing anyway. Hope you guys are having a great day. I will catch you on the next one. Great day or great night. I'm out of here. See you then. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when our next video is out.